Governor, I know as governor you made a lot of sweeping changes during your administration, but now, since that time, you've really focused your energy on education. What do you see as some of the key aspects of education to really turn schools around, turn education around?
Well, as I look back on education, you know, I've seen the public complain about it for 50 years, and you finally read all these results about how graduation rates are down, 33% dropout, 50% of the public don't think we're doing a good job in education. 56% of the public think we're in a crisis. Only a third of our graduates qualify for college, so there's a need for a major change. You know, we've been living in the past long enough, and the area that I see the greatest need is we don't prepare and develop and recruit our leaders. And to expect a teacher who has a lifetime goal of wanting to teach and communicate in the classroom to be forced into the monumental bureaucracy of running a school and having 500 students and 60 employees and lawsuits and school lunch, it's a major business. And what I want to start, and with your help, is I want to create the first national principals academy, just like Harvard Business School. You know, business schools started only 40 years ago. And from this will be a model of recruiting the kind of people that have the capacity and want to run a school. Outside being governor or college president, being a principal ought to be the third best job in the state. And second, we need to give them full training, so when they give them the opportunity to run a school, they're prepared. We need to pay them. The level of pay is very inadequate. And then ultimately, we need to give them the authority to be effective. The same principles you have in management. And you know, most all the top Fortune 500 are all run by people that went to business school, had a background, was prepared to run a company. We need to do the same thing for education. Our education will never get better.
I know as a principal for 16 years, the one thing that allowed me to have success was the fact that I had the autonomy. Mm-hmm. People left me alone. I hired all my own people, and I fired my own people as I needed. And that autonomy was critical. And you know, earlier today you talked about some of the 4 steps or the 4 key pieces. You mentioned autonomy as being one of those. And
well, you know, you got to have autonomy. You can't run anything by committee. Mm-hmm. You can't have people under you fighting you, cutting into you, competing against you. Principal will be allowed at the end of the year to move anybody out they don't want, move them back to the school board. If they got tenure, let them be placed somewhere else. But you got to have your own team, or you'll never have a team. I've been in bureaucracies enough to just nod your head, because most everybody in a bureaucracy is there to protect their turf. That's the sense of life. That's what Jack Welch said in his book, which is a great book about how you be effective dealing with a bureaucracy. And education, that's all it is. And I don't feel like anyone's in charge. You know, everybody's got their hand in it. But we need to recruit people, we need to pay them, we need to train them, and train them, and we need to give them the authority. And then you'll see a big change in education. You can double the expense we spend on schools, education, but until you get leadership that can run that school effectively, create an environment for teachers to be effective, create an environment where the kids know what their expectations are and they live up to them, to where the families are involved in the what's going on in that school system, you're never going to improve education much, just like the last 50 years. We really have not progressed as other countries of the world have.
There's a great need for this Principals Leadership Academy, National Principals Leadership Academy at some point, because our universities aren't getting it done. I mean, all the research out there, the evaluations of current leadership programs in our country demonstrate and point to the fact that this just isn't happening. So the need is there, and I think with your entrepreneurial spirit and our working together, we can make this happen.
I agree with you, Steve. The academic institutions are not set up to give the kind of discipline somewhat along the lines of the Naval Academy or Harvard Business School. We need leadership development and leadership training, not just academic input. And I think our idea is to be able to draw from the higher education to get their instructional input, draw from the management and the military in order to have the best training program in the United States. Once we build our first one, educational systems across the country, hopefully we'll duplicate it.
Mm-hmm. I'm Governor, look forward to working with you.
I look forward to working with you too, Steve.